Go.
Cheers, everyone. Welcome to the Texas Toast Podcast. I'm your host, Miss Helen. And of course, the Texas Toast Podcast, we toast the best from Texas. We got the best in Texas country radio right now. Mr. Jim Nash down in
Howdy, howdy.
Beeville. How's it going, Jim?
It's Beeville, man. It's Beeville.
Oh, you're just doing so many amazing things there. And we're going to get into that because I have a lot of stuff to discuss about your current situation, the amazing work that you're doing right now. But let's
Okay.
just talk a little bit radio and how long you've been doing this and, where you've been. We know where you went, but where you been? What's been going, what I'm saying, how you got started. And it's just,
All
then
right.
we'll start there and no telling where we'll end up.
All right. Well, back in 1989, I was kind of dinging around Oklahoma City playing uh, bar gigs and stuff like that, trying to be a singer. I wanted to be a singer. And my wife at the time, my first wife, decided that she didn't like that too much. So it was either I was gone all the time, and she said it's either music or me. I'm like, well, I can't be playing gigs no more, so but I got to do something with music. So I decided I wanted to be on the radio because I always wanted to be on the radio too. So I started going to broadcasting school, and then as I was going to broadcasting school, I met a guy named Charlie Jones that owned a radio station in Lindsay, Oklahoma, and he said, "Man, I tell you what." I told him I wanted to get in radio. He said, "I tell you what, if you will just come hang out at the radio station, then you can go to school at night." He goes, "You'll have all you need to know here in no time." I'm like, "That's a good idea." So I did that, and I started hanging out more at the radio station. And then I was going to school. I was missing school at night and going and doing basketball games and stuff like that with him. And finally, I thought, man, I can learn things a lot better if I can just see it done and somebody show me how to do something,
Mhm,
and I learn from there. Book smarts, I can't do that. It's just I'm just
mhm.
not a good tester. So uh, about 2 days after I quit my job or quit school, Charlie called me and told me that his 7 to midnight guy walked out and wanted to know if I wanted the job. I'm like,
Whoa,
heck
cool.
yeah, yeah. So then I met Bill Reed, who was moving from KSCS in Dallas up to Oklahoma City. I met him, and he offered me to come do overnights on the weekends up there at KBC, which is my dream job. That's the station I wanted to work for. I said, sure, man, I'll do that. So I started doing that, and I just worked my way up a little at a time, and ended up in morning drive, and I was music director, and then Clear Channel come and bought us. It was
Mm,
called Clear Channel then, which is iHeart now.
right.
They bought us, and I lasted 13 months with them. And finally, my last day of that job was glorious because I wanted out of that place bad.
Tell
Um,
me about it. Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Oh, I
yeah,
have a story. Yes. Oh, yes.
yeah. And I swore I'd never work for them again, and I won't.
Mm-mm.
I'll go pick up cans on the side of the road before I work for them.
True that.
Um, so after that, then I went to Wichita Falls, and I was there from 95 to 2005, and started playing the Texas Red Dirt music in 99. It was me and JB Cloud and Mike Crow were about the only ones that were doing it. So we kind of upstarted that thing.
Yes.
Um, and then I was banging my head against the wall with the Dickey guys from Cumulus, and I wanted guys like Pat Green and Jack Ingram that were on national deals to be played in regular rotation because I thought it was only fair. The Nashville
Hmm.
was pushing them. That's what we were.
That's right.
They didn't agree. So um, I had met Mike Crow at Tommy Alverson's family gathering. A mutual friend of ours introduced us, and we got to talking. So I called him in February of 2005, and he wanted me to come down to Fort Worth and do afternoon drive. I said, sure, man, I'm in. So I moved down there, and then we got bought by the ranch. So the ranch said they thought I was a little too outlaw to be keeping in Fort Worth, and I'm like, what's more outlaw than Fort Worth? I mean, so
Yeah, right. Jim. Oh,
I didn't
no.
understand their thinking,
Oh,
you know.
no.
So they shipped me off to Corsicana, and I was in Corsicana from '06 to 2017. And then I left radio and got out and started doing music promotions, and was doing all right with that. I was doing pretty good with it, and then I started doing some internet radio stuff, and I kept seeing Mike Crow up in stockyards all the time. And he kept telling me, he's like, "Man, you ain't gonna make no damn money in that internet thing. You need to come to Waco." so, so I rocked along for a couple of 3 months there, and finally I called him, and he said, "I want you to come to Waco and do the morning show." And I'm like, "I don't want to do the morning show by myself." He said, "All right, I'll call you back." So about 45 minutes later, he called me back, and he and I did the morning show together, and we did that for 4 years. And then I had an opportunity to come to Beeville and revamp and relaunch this whole station, rebrand it and everything. And I've always wanted to do something like that, to upstart a station.
Mhm.
I'd put the Outlaw in Wichita Falls. I'd put that on the air as an oldies station. I was the general manager for that. And that's a whole different deal than this station, because this station had been dark for a year and there was nothing in here. I mean, nothing.
I
We had a
know, I
board and
know, I
a
know.
board and an old computer sitting here, and that was it. So, and we, we don't have an engineer here. So I wired this whole the studio by myself, and just by sheer knowledge of stuff that I absorbed watching engineers over the years, and
Mhm,
I
mhm.
mean, I found out I knew things I didn't even know I knew, which is kind of a nice surprise. But yeah, I've been here since April. We put the station on the air in May, so
And
we're just rocking along.
you are. I mean, you're just rocking and rolling along. And it's interesting. I kind of want to go back to where you brought up programming, and then like me, I was always fighting for the Texas country and red dirt music. And I mean, I would like literally get in trouble. I was surprised I didn't get fired sometimes. But
Right,
since I don't think I've ever really shared this on the podcast, maybe with one person or so. But in order for us to get regularly programmed Texas country, I had to come up with the like a plan. When finally, instead of just saying this or this to general managers or owners, it was like all of our fairs and festivals in we're a regional radio station. All the Texas artists, that's who was playing. We're the presenting station, and we're not playing
right.
their music on the radio. So basically, the radio station was selling. I had already left radio, and I had been presented the podcast opportunities many, many times. And then it wasn't until they introduced me to Kyle. And it was like, I think we can give this a chance. I like him. We think alike. And it's like we started out not knowing. I didn't think anybody would listen to it because I'm that FM. I was always like, I've got to have that stick. I got to have that coverage
Right.
map.
Yes. Yep.
And so where the name came from for this podcast was how I positioned and branded our Texas music. It was toasting the best from Texas. And
Oh
so we
yeah.
couldn't come up with a name for the podcast, and the station had already it was being sold, and I was like, I'm going to use it. And so of course I said, and they said, well, you were the one that created it. You came up with Texas Toast and toasting the best from Texas,
Right.
Texas music. So so it's kind of funny how you
That
and
is
I
cool.
we do share that passion, and
Yeah.
it's a payoff now because this industry is blowing up. But back to you in Beeville. I
Yeah.
admire you so much. I've followed your journey and followed you on social media. And I love you to death. I love our time that we get to spend when we actually see each other. It's always such a
Right.
pleasure. But Jim, kudos to you. And I mean, you're constantly bringing the guests in and just like looking at behind you, the logo that wasn't there
Yeah.
until you came. I mean, and
Right.
that's a heritage station. It's been there a long time because for many, many years, when I would make my trip to go see a dear friend in Three Rivers, and then we have friends down there that we go and hunt with. And
Hmm.
anytime you're in that area, you always tuned into the station in Beeville.
Yeah. It was Kicker 106 then.
Yes. Hmm.
And it was an unfortunate thing because when I was doing promotions and stuff, I would send our artists that I was working with, Tanner Sparks and Caleb McIntyre and those guys like that. I would send them down here to see Big Dan when Big
Hmm.
Dan was here. And it was sad, and Big Dan passed away March of last year. And then just some unfortunate things happened here at the station, and Alan just decided to turn it off because he just didn't have the energy to go forward doing it and have anybody else to program the thing. So, but I knew whenever I started talking to Alan that this he wanted to, used the call letters for the radio station, which is KTKO. He wanted to call it the Knockout. And I told him, I said, well, yeah, but if we're playing Texas music, I said, that sounds like a sports station to me, you know? And I said, if we're going to play Texas music, why don't we call it the Texas Knockout? And he goes,
Yes.
I like that even better.
Yes, that's even
So,
better.
and then we had some folks dream up our logo up there, and it was, you know, kind of off and running from there. And so it's just a matter of branding it to this community down here because, like I said, the station had been off for a year and people had just got used to not having the station here. So now we're back again, and it's a real struggle to get people to realize that the station's still here again, you know?
Well, and I bet the community is so happy that it's back, especially your nonprofits that lost public service announcements, and
Yeah,
you know that's what I saw when we lost our station. That's the one thing I look at, and I still run into people from some of the nonprofits and some of the organizations, and it's like, you know, it was hard for them to try to learn other avenues to get the
right.
word out on what they're doing.
Yeah, and they you know, there's a Tejano station here in town, right in downtown, and a lot of the community turned to them because we have a high percentage of Hispanics in this town,
Yes.
and so they, you know, they started going to them. Well, now I find myself programming a little bit more kind of a Hispanic style things like with the Tejas brothers and Rico Gonzalez and all those guys like that to try and pull in that community and that
Yes.
crowd.
Yes.
And I
And
think it's
we
working a little bit.
Yes, and it's perfect timing because that's just blowing up in our
It
industry.
is.
The Mark Powell and Rico new song. Oh,
Yes, I just added that today. I love that song.
that's gonna be on Texas on Tap Thursday. And I mean, and the
Yeah,
stuff that Sunny's doing, and it's like we
yeah.
have a special podcast where we've got, yeah, a whole bunch of the Tayana artists that came on. And oh my gosh, yes, I know.
But it's so
It's
weird.
crazy.
It's so weird because I don't think, I mean, those guys, I'd heard of them and knew of them because I've seen Sonny Sauceda up at Westfest for, you know, the past 4 years
Mhm.
that I was up there, and I was just loved him to death, you know, and then all of a sudden he started doing country stuff. Well, I moved down here, and then all of a sudden everybody's doing it, and I'm like, dude, this is gonna fill in for me, man.
I
It's
know.
like
I
timing is
know.
everything, and I didn't know the timing was gonna be on that, you know.
And they just keep coming out with projects, and I'm just going to
Yeah,
sit back and just watch this growth because I'm enjoying it.
I do too.
um
I like it.
yeah. So speaking of music, it's like I do have to ask you a question because of, being in radio, just like, programming and getting your new music in weekly as it comes in. How long did it take you to get your music in your system?
Uh, I got lucky because
You
I
did.
actually had a database on a hard drive
Oh
that I
goodness.
that I've collected over the years. So, and even from when I left Waco, I had all the new stuff that was out on charts currently, you know. So when we got this new playout system, I loaded about 15,000 songs into this computer and just commenced to putting them into categories. And it was there's a bunch of songs that are still in that computer that I don't even have put over in categories yet because I
Uh,
haven't approached that, you know, like really old classic country songs and things like that because I just haven't come up with a classic country show yet, but I will
mhm.
one of these days.
Oh, I'm sure you will. You're like, even though you might be, what were you, a rebel? What did they tell you you were? Anyway,
Yeah, too outlaw for them.
yeah, you're too okay, outlaw. Yeah, yeah, outlaw's gonna get it figured out. Look at you now.
Yeah.
Have you ever wondered how artists like Treaty Oak Revival, Red Clay Strays, and Aaron Watson maintain the high quality and high demand for their merchandise? CH Lone Star Promo is the answer. Created in Texas to serve Texas artists, and they're currently offering 15% off on all merch orders from musicians. Visit chlonestarpromo.com to get started and tell them Texas Toast sent you.
I was reading the other day that it takes at least $1 million to break an artist. That's a ton of change, and it can feel overwhelming. But with social media leveling the playing field, you just need an effective strategy to release your music. Check out Release Rocket to ensure your single does not die after release day. You've already put time, effort, and tons of money into writing and recording your album. Let the guys at Release Rocket keep your new release alive.
Okay, so just talking about radio stuff in general, like I mean, it happened to me maybe one time and I was mortified, but back in the day we would have a separate prod room and then you would have your studio, but then when we started voice tracking and then the studio was
Right.
available, so basically it became another production room for you to go voice over and do your production before you left to go home. So
Yeah.
my question to you, I mean, I had a guy, it was like we were sitting there, I was at my desk listening to, had the station on, and he is in there, he is like voicing a spot and he's messing up and he is like dropping some bombs and he's doing the
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it was all I could do to run in there. I'm like, turn the board off. You're hot. You're hot. You're not in production mode. He like
Yeah.
crawled underneath the console. It was just like,
Yeah.
it was what like mortifying. Anything mortifying ever happened to you like that in radio?
Oh, yeah. Millions of times. Millions of times. Well, I won't say millions, hundreds of times. Oh, yeah. But I safeguarded against that when I was wiring this studio. I
Mhm.
intentionally wired it to where I have to hook another microphone cable to do production.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I
Yes.
take it completely away from the board. So there's no chance in the world that any of this conversation is going on the air.
I
And that
love it.
and I did that intentionally because with all the voice tracking systems and everything that I've worked with before, you have to make sure that you don't have that thing in program A. If you have it in program A,
Hmm.
it's going out on the air, and you turn the
That's
mic
right.
on, it's
That's
like it's
exactly.
gotta be in B, man.
And I know this is probably a thing of the past. This is so fun getting to talk radio. Like I didn't even make any notes for the interview. Oh my God. How many times did we say, hi, you're caller number one. Hi, you're caller number
Oh
two.
yeah.
Hi, you're caller number three. Caller number four.
Yeah.
And then you
Or we'd
say,
go, or we'd say we're gonna take caller number 7, and he's like, hi, you're caller 1. Hi, you're caller 3. Hi, you're caller 5.
yeah,
Hi, you're caller 7. He's like, man, we gotta
no,
move. We got things to do.
no. Or what color did I tell them to be? Crap, I can't
Oh, it
remember.
done that too. Yeah. Forget what number I said.
Then you get and then you get somebody that's the winner. Congratulations, you're the winner. What'd I win? Are you freaking kidding me?
Oh, I hate
You're
that.
trying to lay down the phone bit so quick so you can get it turned
Yeah.
around and get it back on the air, get their name, you do all the
Yeah.
instructions, get the phoner back on with you only got like 3 minute song and you're doing all this.
Right.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Those
Yeah.
those
And
were the
then what
days.
what did I win? Or when they do call and they are the correct one and they know they are, they don't you don't you wonder if they even have a pulse.
I hated
Hi.
those.
What's your name? John. Hey, John. Well, you just won tickets to go see blah blah blah. Oh, cool. Thanks. Oh,
I
I
know,
hate
right?
that, man.
I hated
Drives
that
me
too.
insane, man. It's like, dude, we just gave you tickets to Willie Nelson, and you're gonna say, okay, thanks.
Oh my gosh. Well, okay, so now I love all the stuff you're doing on social media and I just love all I'm just following along with all the guests you're having in. You're just really doing such a good job on that. But then you take it up another notch with your flames behind you.
Oh yeah, well, that
Oh,
wasn't my idea. I didn't. I actually, Greg Sachs, that does the Texas Music Daily. He had seen me doing my morning videos, of what was coming up on the show, and I was posting those, and he said, Nash, I got a great idea. He goes, every day, why don't you? I'm going to send you a script thing, and he goes, why don't you cut that for what's hot in Texas music? And I go, cool, I can do that. Well, then,
oh,
like the second one that he did, he put the flames in there. I was like, dude, those flames look cool, man. So we just kept it. Well, Tammy told him one time, she goes, I don't know why you use those flames. No, his son. And his son does like video production and stuff. He goes, I don't know why you use those flames. He goes, well, I think it looks cool. And he goes, yeah, it distracts from the video. And Greg told me that. And I go, what does he know? He's a kid. so, so Greg tried it last week,
okay.
and we didn't get
Okay.
near as many hits without the flames as we do with the flames. So we put the flames back in.
I love it.
I
You're
do
just
too.
doing such a good job.
And I
Now
asked
that
him, I asked him even how to do the flames. I don't even know how to do the flames. I just record a plain old video and send it to him. So I had no idea.
Wow, that's so cool. You see, that's another thing I was thinking. I was like, dang, Jim is getting with it on these reels. Like, dang, he's done
Oh
putting
yeah, it ain't
fire behind,
me.
he's a fire behind himself and everything.
Yeah, Greg told me how to do it, but I'm like, oh, that's still over my head. I'm still just learning this crap.
So I'm excited because I'll get to see you in person and honored always to work with you, co-hosting on the
Yes.
red carpet of the Texas Country Music Awards. And I was so nervous the first year and you just put me at ease. And it was like, I have told this story so many times to people. It was like, and I think you and I talked about it. It could have been really, really good or really, really bad. But it was like, I felt like I had worked with you for years. Like I could just look at you and I was like, okay, I got this. All right. Yeah. I mean, it
Yeah.
was just that it was crazy.
Yeah, it was, and I was nervous too because I had never worked. The only really morning partner I'd worked with Kerry Dean for like 13 years, in Corsicana, and I'd never really done anything like that with anybody other than him, But it was really neat because you and I just kind of had a cool chemistry right off the
Mhm.
bat, and it worked out great too, and for the years even after that, it's like we got this, man. Let's go, roll
I know. I
it.
know. That's what I love about you. And that's why I'm enjoying following your journey in Beeville at the radio station, like more than you know. It's very inspiring.
Thank you.
So gosh, there is like it's amazing. Some of these categories are just blowing my mind. Of course, we're talking be at Billy Bob's. It's Sunday, November 11th, right, Jim? Is that the date?
Don't get me the line.
I know. We're bad about it. Yeah, that
November
anyway.
10th.
November 10th. Thank you, Kyle. Sunday,
November
November
10th.
10th.
We
Yes.
knew it was
And of
close
course,
there.
and of course, that whole weekend is country
Right.
music weekend in the stockyards. And there's a lot of awesome finalists this year. And of course, Jim and I are gonna just kind of chit chat because it's hard for me with some of these. Like, I mean, let's look at this one. This category always blows my mind and stumps me every year.
Okay.
Country country band of the year. You got Chad Cook Band, Kinfo, Shane Smith and the Saints this year, Silverado and the Great Divide. Oh, I don't
Well,
know. What?
all great bands.
I know. I
And I
know.
don't know, to me, it's like, okay, well, I guess they put them in there like that, kind of like because in like, even in the CMAs and stuff like that, they have group of the year. They call it group of the year, which is
Mm-hmm.
that's where those kind of guys go. So, but man, it's getting so competitive now with the Great Divide back in there and Shane Smith and the Saints
Smith
rolling
and
back
Saints.
in. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, good gosh, man. Oh, Chad Cook ain't got a lock on that category no more.
I know, I know. And and all of and then I mean, gosh, then there's Kinfo. I mean, and
Yes.
all of these bands work so hard at it's just yeah. So yeah, I'm just putting that one out there because it's crazy. Along with Entertainer of the Year, Chad Cook Band, Jake Worthington, Kinfo, Mike Ryan, and the Great Divide.
Wow. Yeah. You know, it's crazy how that comes out like that. But man, that also goes back to help us program radio because we're seeing
Yes.
what the Entertainer of the Year nominees are. Are we playing the right stuff on the radio? Oh yeah, I'm playing every one of those guys. So, but man, yeah, that Entertainer of the Year, you just have what now? Say those again.
Chad Cook Band, Jake
Yep.
Worthington, Ken Foe, Mike Ryan, and the Great Divide.
So you got two of those are individuals, three bands.
Right. Oh
That's
yeah.
crazy.
I didn't see. I love that. I love how you looked at that way.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
So normally it's individuals. You would think,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even in the CMAs and the TC, all the
Yes.
awards are normally an individual. But wow, I don't know, man. That's a tough category too. All
I
those
know.
on all those artists have had phenomenal years too, so
That's
they
what,
deserve that.
yes, absolutely. Wonderful, wonderful years. And then our girls, female artists, finalists Brandy Balin, Jordan Rayner, Peyton Howie, Sarah Hobbs, Summer Dean. Oh, wow. They've all had good
Yeah.
years. They've all done so many tremendous things. Brandy is really coming along. Like,
Yes.
she just had her new release that's just amazing coming off of her prior number one. Sarah just released Delta Dawn, did such a great job on that.
Oh, and I love that version of
Oh
that
my
song too.
God. I
That was
just,
one of my favorite Tanya Tucker songs ever. And then when I heard she was coming out with this, I was kind of I thought, let's see what she done with it. I love the little intro thing that she does before that because Tanya Tucker starts out cold,
mhm.
and then she put that little intro thing on there, and I'm like, this is sweet, man. She did a great job on that song.
Yes, and it's like, and her voice is so good anyway. And like I said, she really, I feel like how I put it here on the podcast is she really honored that song
Oh,
and
absolutely.
just Left her mark on it. She did such a
Yep.
good job. Yeah.
He did.
And then the guys, male artists of the year, Braxton Keith, Grant Gilbert, Jake Worthington, Josh Ward, and Mike Ryan.
Wow. God. Braxton Keith is another one of those guys that's intriguing because he's coming along. He's been around for a long time, quite a few years, but he's really starting to come in his own right now. So be interesting. I don't think he'll walk away with that one this year, but I
Um,
think it'll be more along the lines of a Josh Ward or maybe even Grant Gilbert. Maybe.
yeah, and I think too that wherever Braxton goes, where someone maybe where the crowds are not familiar with him, or maybe in a market they haven't been familiar with him, I think it just takes him one time going, and that's it.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
he is so talented.
Yeah, and
And
I
then
know
Grant's had a
that happened in Waco too, and with
mhm.
him. Matter of fact, he played at the backyard one time, and there was about 25 people there, and then they booked him again, and or they booked him to open for somebody, and then they booked him again solo, and it was packed. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's exactly what happens.
And the other thing too with Braxton is like we'll hear it here on the podcast a lot. A lot of the other artists will bring up Braxton's name. So
Right.
he's definitely he's moving on along. Roots Alternative Artist or Band of the Year, the Damn Quells, Johnny Falstaff, Teague
Oh
Brothers
wow, I
Band.
love Johnny
I
Falstaff.
know, it's so cool. Teague
Yeah.
Brothers Band, Treaty Oak Revival, Two Tons of Steel, talent in there. Um, I love Teague Brothers. Johnny Falstaff, yeah. I got to meet him and
Yeah.
he's something else. And you meet him once, you know him forever.
You got that right, man. That
Yes.
guy he's a character, man. And he's his own kind of individual character too. There ain't nobody else
Uh-huh.
out there like Johnny Falstaff.
Nobody at all. Not at all. Love it. Emerging Artists of the Year, Billy Joe Jones, Bubba Wesley, Chaser Crouch, Jack Nelson, and Jordan Nix. And oh, that's an important category because that's our future up and comers. And then do want to say kudos to Bubba. I'm partial. He's from my local area and
Oh yeah,
I love Bubba. He's working hard, doing great things. Billy Joe's had a great year. Chaser, I mean,
boy,
uh,
that kid's something else, man. Corsicana boy.
yes. And let's see, Western Swing Artist or Band of the Year, The Broken Spokes, Jake Blocker, Jake Hooker, and the Outsiders, Jordan Nix, Landon Dodd, and the Dance Hall Drifters. God, Broken Spokes, they're just so amazing. Like I've been
Yeah,
to their shows and seen them. I don't know. That's an interesting category.
yeah, they are. And if you're in Western swing, it's more of a modern Western swing that they do too. And that's what I like
Mhm.
about it. I mean, I love the traditional Western swing, but boy, this new modernized kind of sound that they have is really cool.
Yes. I have a friend. Oh, yeah. Well, we have a couple. I have, well, let's see. Andrew Matula, like he's fiddled for David Adam Burns, Curtis
Right.
Grimes. Like I don't know if you know,
Yeah.
Matula he's my brother from another. But yeah,
Yeah.
he has now started a Western swing band, but he's doing it old school. I mean, it's
Really.
like I can't remember what he calls it in the Playboy. Anyway, yeah, he's like really throwing it back and he's doing
Huh.
really good. People
Wow.
are just like packing out his shows. People are just like wanting to hear that kind of music.
Wow.
And yeah, so country album of the year, Cover Girl, Aaron Watson, Cheaper Than the Truth Can Foe, Colton Moore, self-titled, Ready or Not, Ryder Grimes, Wandering Star, Flatland Cavalry. Oh,
Ooh. Boy, I tell you what, Ryder Grimes is riding high right now, man. And his music is something else, man. It's so country, and for such a young guy, and he's so humble. Yeah, golly, that
he
kid's so
is.
humble.
And he is humble, and I love the times I get to visit with him. It's just like he's just so chill. He's just like so interesting to
Yeah,
talk to. He's so inquisitive about things. So yeah, and
yeah.
he also is a finalist for 8 Seconds at a Time for Country Single of the Year. He's in there with Will
Wow,
Carter, Had Me at Goodbye, The Great Divide, Infinite Line, Sarah Hobbs, Lessons I'll Never Learn, and Way It Goes, Mark Ryan.
wow. Yeah, that'll be a tough category too, man. Gosh, but you know what? He's a mentor of Daryl Dodd. So
Hmm.
you can't be going too wrong with being a mentor from Daryl Dodd, getting mentored from
Absolutely.
him.
Absolutely. And then Christian Country Artists of the Year, Curtis Grimes, Crystal Yates, Pamela Mary, Tiana Campbell, and Whitley Casey. I think that's going to really be, well, Tiana's, Whitley or Curtis. I mean, it's like Whitley's really dove into his going back to his Christian roots and solely
Yeah.
doing that in ministry again.
Yeah, I was. We were. My wife was his promoter for a while, and he signed on with him, and we did several singles with him, and he was really doing good. And he says, I think I'm going to take a step back, and I'm going to go back into Christian and Christian music. And I was like, hey, man, hats off to you, brother. Congratulations. I think it's awesome, and he's really done a neat job of doing that because he's starting to do like a lot of the bigger name Texas guys are doing. They're releasing a song a week. Putting a new song a week out to stream and stuff, and he's starting to do that too, and he's really having some success with it. Put just a new video out, and I think he's doing really, really good, and he may have a chance at winning that this year too.
I think so. And then last one I'll cover young artists 18 and under: Elle Townley, Logan Papp, Maggie Reese, Peyton Riley, and Ty Smith. Ty has really...
I love me Ty. I had Ty in the studio this morning.
I saw that in his new single too. Yes.
With Casey Johns.
Oh my gosh, it's just brilliant. It's just so good.
Yeah, it is, and it's fantastic. And I've known Ty for a little while now, but today was the first day I got to meet Casey, and she is just a little doll. I just love her to death, man. She is so sweet and she's just a little country girl, but what intrigued me about her was she kind of got her start with Dolly Parton, and now I'm like, ooh, that kind of perked my ear up a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah, she was in Dolly Parton's Coat of Many Colors movie. And she was
really?
Yeah,
How
at
cool is that?
near the end of it, whenever they got the human Christmas tree, they're all up there singing. She's at the very top of it. And it just kind of glimpsed at her for a minute, but I'm like, hey, you're in a Coat of Many Colors and you're on Dolly Parton's deal. So, if you're on her radar, you got to be doing something right.
Wouldn't that be the coolest thing to be at the top of the Christmas tree?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I said.
It's like the coolest thing ever. Wow. Yeah. Pick me. No, yeah. I don't know. I'm so old. I don't know these days. I don't have my balance like I used to. I'm still pretty coordinated.
Yeah, I break a hip or something.
All right. So it's going to be a wonderful evening with Texas Country Music Awards, and of course, and then we have all our radio friends that are finalists, and then all the people that play different instruments, the drummers, the steel guitarists, the fiddle players, and it's just going to be great. But most importantly, I get to see you, which is so cool.
Absolutely. And that's what I always tell everybody. They're like, when I was telling Alan that we were going to go, he's going for the first time. He's never been to Billy Bob's ever, my station owner. And I'm like, how have you never been to Billy Bob's? So he's going this year as the station joined the TCMA. And so he's getting to go to the awards the first time. And he kind of was like, what do I expect up there? I said, well, I have to be there about 1 o'clock because we start doing the red carpet about 2 o'clock. And I said, man, when we started doing this, I said, when I started doing it, we only did it for like an hour and a half or so. I said, but now they keep adding an hour on every day, every year. I said, last year it's 3 o'clock. Now it's 2 o'clock. I'm like, good Lord, man. I said, but then again, there's a lot more people coming through that red carpet than there ever was. And I said, we barely have a chance to reach over and take a drink out of a beer for 4 hours, man. I said, it is grind.
I know. You just push through, but I enjoy it so much. And
I did too.
And then I have to, and tell him one thing he can expect is lots of hugs and high fives. I mean, that's what I do. I mean, sometimes people are probably like, "Gosh, she's gonna do that again." Really, really.
Yeah. This morning when I was talking to Ty, we were like, Casey's never been to the awards either. So Ty was telling me, he's like, yeah. He goes, you'll notice most of these radio people, they all know each other. He said, so you'll look up at one time and there'll be about 10 or 15 radio guys all over here shooting the breeze and talking to each other. I said, yeah, because that's the only time we get to see each other every year,
I know.
Literally is.
Yes, for sure. I think it's cool. And because it's like I don't know, it's kind of weird because it's like we're such, it's the Texas Country Music Awards, it's the red carpet, but I just kind of feel like we're the front door, and it's like everybody's coming through the front door, Jim, and we're welcoming them, and that's the welcome.
Yes,
that's Come on in.
That's it.
Come on in. Get ready.
Exactly.
Get ready for this big.
We're the welcoming committee.
That's right. Well, dang it, it's like this more often. This is cool.
No doubt. Anytime y'all want to, I'm gonna have you on. I started a podcast here about 6 weeks ago, I guess.
Did you? That's right. I did see something. Like you had something. Yeah.
It's Behind the Mic with Nash, and it comes out. every Friday at 10 a.m. And what I started doing was like my first two episodes, it was kind of my radio journey
Uh-huh.
from Lindsay to here. The first one was from Lindsay to Oklahoma City to Wichita Falls, and then Wichita Falls to here was the second episode. And then I got Kerry Dean to figure. I had to help him figure out how to do a Zoom call so we could do an episode together. And Lord, that was like trying to herd monkeys, man. I'm telling you what. We got an episode, and then I did one about shenanigans, things that go on with the artist and stuff behind the scenes that people don't ever know about,
Uh-huh.
fun that I have with them and things like that. And that I didn't even write anything down for that. I just started talking. And then
Right.
I was recording it, and I looked up and it was an hour and 15 minutes. I'm like, man, dang, I still got some stories to tell. But I cut it off there. And then I'm doing my last Ranch Roadhouse. When I was in Corsicana, I did a show on Sunday nights called the Ranch Roadhouse. And it was at the Rocket Cafe, and it was a 2 hour show, acoustic song swap thing, And man, I had guys like Cody Johnson did it several times. Cody Jinks did it a bunch of times. I did that show for about 11 years. And so everybody that's big now in Texas music, they did that show at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And so my last show was October 22nd of 2017. And when I was planning that, because I was leaving at the end of October, and when I was planning it, I got to thinking about, I was like, well, when I started doing this, who was instrumental in helping me get music on the air? So the first three names that came to my mind was Jamie Richards and Daryl Dodd and Gary P. Nunn.
Mm-hmm.
So I heard it, all three of those guys on the stage one time and for a final show. And we actually recorded it. So I'm breaking it up into two parts. So that'll be coming out. The second part will be coming out this Friday. But yeah, the
Well,
podcast is cool. It's fun.
we got to do that. Well, you and I have talked so much. Speaking of Zoom and podcasts, I'm about to run out of time. That's how much
Okay.
we just been rocking on this, is doing it.
Been
Oh my
fun.
gosh, this has been so fun. I'm so excited to see you in November. Keep up the
You
good
too.
work. Keep the flames going.
Yeah. Right on.
You go,
Thank you for
Jim
having me. I
Nash.
appreciate it very, very much.
Thank you, Jim.